Sometimes in life you go through little motivation D-spurts where you just don't want to do anything, and that's been me the past week, and I really need to get out of that slump. So we're gonna be focusing on that today. I wanna get my RX7 as damn near close to running today as I absolutely can, or in this video. I'm not gonna say today because this video is gonna be a couple days, but we have a lot here for it of sort of like random little stuff that I've been waiting on, consumables, gaskets, seals. I was going back and forth on the RX7 for a while, debating on LS swapping it. Not gonna do that, at least not right now. I wanna experience the Rotary. I've already built the Rotary. The Rotary's already close to running, and we've already done videos. Mochi, get out of that. We've already done videos rebuilding this thing, fabbing stuff up for it, and at this point, it's almost ready to run. So we're gonna get it as close as we can in this video, and we're gonna break this little mind storm that we've got going on. What are you looking for right now, huh? I'm just a corgi, I'm so hungry. If anybody else has corgis, I'm sure you know how. Why are you side-eyeing me? What was that about? Why are you side-eyeing? So right here we've got my 1993 Mazda Rx7. For those of you that are new, it is a half-bridge 13B that I assembled. I'm not crazy confident about this engine on my own, but if anything happens to it, I'll just send it out to be built somewhere else. We've got a Borg Warner SXE 660 turbo, single turbo conversion, Greddy V-mount, a whole bunch of other little stuff. It's on a Haltech Elite 2500 mil-spec wire harness. I don't know why I was debating on abandoning this. It's already super close. You trying to kill me? It's already super close to almost being done, so we're just gonna send it. First thing I need to start off this video with are these Greddy hood struts, because I am absolutely tired of using a jack handle as my hood prop. So these should be pretty easy to install. I assume it's just like a couple brackets and whatnot. So let's go ahead and get these hood struts installed, and then we can actually jump into some engine stuff. I guess it does go like that. Interesting. I can put that on. Finally, I have a set of hood struts on the FD. I bought a set originally off of eBay thinking that they'd work, and they didn't, because the bracket that they give you only has one spot to bolt to the hood, and it would spin as the hood would close and it wouldn't work. So these Greddy ones, they got 2 mounting points down here off the hood that then come down, plus they're like nice little carbon fiber edition. So that's pretty sweet. I'm gonna jump over to something where I can just kind of chill, relax, and just knock some stuff out. So I'm gonna empty out everything in here, get the Haltech mounted back up down in that corner, get everything plugged back in, plug my computer back into it, and start to rebuild the base mat, because I lost it, unfortunately, because I originally kidnapped the ECU out of this for the STI, so now I gotta rebuild it. So it's not a big deal, I just have to go in there. So let me move this stuff, let's get the Haltech hooked up, and let me jump on my computer. I need to show you guys this. I got the tune uploaded onto that ECU, and then it started to, you'll see. You'll see. Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? I don't understand. I should probably get a video. Hi, Yogi. There's nothing to be scared about, bud. This is an interesting problem. I don't know why the headlights are going full Herbie on us. I'm not gonna worry about it right now. Instead, we're gonna jump over to some wire harness stuff and start to get all the wire harness hooked up and get all this stuff kind of done with and give it a home, so that way we don't have spaghetti just wrapping around the engine bay. I have to depin a couple connectors, repin on new connectors for things like the oil temperature sensor and a couple other things here and there. So let's go ahead and get the harness wrapped up, and then we can just kind of like zip tie it up, clean it up, so that way it's not like all messy in there. What are you doing? What are you doing? She's all wet, she was playing in the rain. So with our ethanol sensor here, this is going to mount up just right about there. So I just need to build a bracket that's gonna go off of this shelving piece here. And then we should be able to mount up our ethanol sensor because we have our fuel pressure regulator return there and our feed line going back to the pump there. So this should work out pretty perfect. So let's go cut up some metal, get a bracket made, get it powder coated, and we can get that guy mounted up. So I tossed the intake manifold on to test fit and we're looking solid with our ethanol sensor back there. I like how it's just kind of tucked away. Like I said, it's just weird with this car. There's so much room in the engine bay, but there's just like not a lot of like usable real estate. So now that we have the ethanol sensor done, we can go ahead and hook up the fuel pressure regulator here over to the ethanol sensor there, and then we'll have the return side of the fuel system done. Then we just have to do the feed side. I need to swap over to this line here from Radium because the one that I originally made, I was originally gonna run the fuel system in parallel. I decided I'm just gonna do it in series. If that holds us back on some power, then so be it. Like I said, with this being my first 13B I've built, I don't need it to go to the moon. I don't want this car to go to the moon. The clutch isn't even rated for the moon. It's just an ACT HDSS, which I think is rated for like 400, 500 foot-pounds, like 450, 500 foot-pounds of torque, somewhere along that range. So if the fuel system is what keeps this thing turned out, because I mean, we got 3 Wall Bureau 545s in this thing, or 535s. If that's the big holdup, that's fine. Since we are already on the topic of the fuel system stuff, we are talking about our guys over at Techron and Complete Fuel System Cleaner. So I actually need to throw some of this in the WRX. Now, Complete Fuel System Cleaner is gonna do a couple things for us. It's gonna help protect the fuel system from corrosion. It's gonna help bring back any lost miles per gallon from a dirty or contaminated fuel system. It can also help prevent spark plug fouling. And if you have a car that is a little bit higher up in mileage or a little bit older, what it can also do is help restore any lost, I didn't bring anything to poke this with. It'll also help restore any lost power that the car may have had before from a dirty fuel system. I use this stuff on pretty much all of the cars. Actually, I think I use it on every single one of the cars. It's pretty easy to use. Make sure you got a full tank of fuel like we do. Go ahead, pop off your gas cap, put it in the gas cap holder, open up the hole here, and then just stick it in there and let it empty itself. Like, I don't think it could be any easier, to be honest. I know a lot of you guys actually use this stuff. I like to use this on a lot of the cars that run E85 just because E85 is so much more corrosive. With running E85 in the cars, like once every 3 tanks of E85, we'll put a tank of pump gas in it. And when we go back to regular gasoline, like we run in pretty much all the cars, I'll throw a bottle of this stuff in and it'll help just prevent the fuel system from getting corroded from that E85. Look at that, it's already done. It'll help clean out the injectors of any corrosion that may be building up, because that's the big thing is injectors, especially with cars that run like direct injection, like these ones do. Those injectors are expensive. It's not like a port injection car where you can easily just swap out an injector if it goes bad. So I like to use the Complete Fuel System on pretty much every single one of the cars. So a huge shout out to our guys over at Techron. If you're looking for any more information on that Complete Fuel System Cleaner or the high mileage fuel system cleaner, I'll put a link down below in the description for you guys so that way you guys can check it out. So with that, let's get back to building a fuel system for the RX7 and hopefully get this thing close to running, because it's really close. It's a lot closer than I thought it would be. Look at that cute little fuel return line coming off the regulator going up to the ethanol sensor. It's so tiny. It's so cute. This guy, I may need to rotate that fitting just kind of this way a little bit more so it's not pointed directly at that. We have our fuel pressure sensor in there, Radium DMR, GM ethanol sensor, everything's plugged in. Now we need to kind of tackle the feed fuel, or the feed part of the fuel system here. And I need to, there's 2 things left I gotta do with the fuel system. I gotta connect these 2 fuel rails over here on this side, so I need to I think like a Dash 8 banjo fitting to come straight off of that to go down there and then just connect it up there. I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to do that yet, but that one's gonna be a little bit finicky. This side, I think I can use that radium line that they provided to be able to get it to fit up there. Not entirely sure. We'll figure it out. It's not a big deal. If I have to order more line, I'll order more line. Ruben, if you for some reason watch my video, I'm gonna come ask you if I can steal some of your zip ties, man.
Yeah.
Hey, I know you just came over like an hour ago to ask if I had any zip ties.
Do you need zip ties?
Do you have some zip ties I can steal?
Yeah, they're up there.
Do you ever get tired of only working on Evos?
But this isn't an Evo.
The Lancer.
It's a Lancer, but it's got a turbo, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's an Evo!
No,
It's an Evo!
Regular is...
Wait a minute, hold on. I thought Lancers didn't come turbo.
They don't.
Why is this one turbo?
because we put a turbo kit on.
I feel lied to.
Yeah,
Is this a 4B11?
Yes.
4B11T?
No.
So it's... Why does it smell like fuel?
because the fuel line's off.
Oh. I don't give a fuck. That's because you drive a Lancer. I'm sorry. I don't take it back, actually. What's the military doing? Thanks for the zip ties. Enjoy the Evo.
The Lancer.
Be the ball. I'll probably swing back over. How long are you guys gonna be here?
Probably a couple more hours.
Okay, I'll be back over here later.
I think you should, man.
You know why?
I don't know. It's kind of hoping you tell me.
Oh my god. I got bees on my head, but don't call me a bee head. Fuel lines are all tucked up underneath of the car. We have our feed coming up here to the fuel rail, wrapping down with the return flowing back to the fuel pump and the fuel tank back there. So fuel system's pretty much done on this. All that's left to do is connect up this bottom fuel rail to this top one, but I'm gonna have to buy like a 8 ORB 90-degree banjo fitting to make it down to that bottom fuel rail down there, just because it's kind of a tight fit. So now I kind of want to go around, toss some hose clamps on like this intercooler pipe here, because there's no need for this intercooler pipe to come back out. I can still get the intake in and out if I need to work in this area, but this pipe can, for the most part, just stay here. So I've had some of these like constant tension clamps sitting around that I feel like can go to like some pretty good use over here. So it's like a 2-piece hose clamp here. It's kind of cool. We've got this guy that'll go around the pipe like that, and then it'll sit on there. So the hose clamp itself actually sits inside of it like that. So just to give you guys a quick little visual here, I know it's gonna be kind of hard to see. This wastegate was oriented right, so that way the vacuum lines are gonna go up that way and avoid the downpipe. But the problem is on this one, they are pointed directly at the wastegate and everything like that. So I think I can turn this top piece and it'll rotate so that way it'll point away from it. I may have to remove this one dump tube just to get that out of the way, but I gotta fix that real quick. Not 100% certain. I don't typically use TurboSmart gates. This is a Comp 40. On these, you can loosen this collar and be able to rotate this top portion wherever you need it. I did notice on the bottom one though, I had to swap these two fittings around on the bottom portion. The one, there's a little water symbol on here. I didn't notice that before. So I had the air fitting on the water side and the air fittings blocked off on the lower portion. So I got those swapped around. I'm gonna double check the other gate just to make sure I have that one set up properly. Cause I'd rather catch it now while we're setting up vacuum lines versus later when we try to start the car and the wastegates are all fucked up. So this one's good. Let's go toss this one back in the car and should be good. I wish I could rotate these lower ones, but that's not gonna happen. I don't think. Yeah, no, that's just not gonna happen. I believe I got I have most of the wastegate routing and vacuum line system done. For the turbo is gonna tee off here, go to port 1 on the boost controller down here. That's going to tee off. That's gonna run back, and then you're gonna have, if you're running, since this car's twin scroll, we have 2 gates, so we have 2 sets of lines that gotta come up. That port going off of port 1 into the boost source on the turbo, that's gonna tee off, and that's gonna tee off to both of the bottom ports on the wastegates down there. The top ports are gonna tee together into one line somewhere roughly here, and then they're all gonna pass through one of these little P-clips I'll bolt down. I need to get a little bit bigger of one. That'll pass through and that'll go to port 2. Port 1 or port 3 is just gonna vent to the atmosphere. So I'm gonna get one of those little atomizers that'll go on the boost controller. So for now, that's pretty much all I can do on the vacuum system there. I do need to figure out how to shove this DEI heat sleeve over all the vacuum line down there. It's just a real pain in the ass to try to shove 1/4" line through that, and that's meant for 1/4". Maybe it's meant for an 1/8". I don't know, man. It's a real pain to shove it through. What we need to do next is go ahead and jump over here to our IAT sensor harness and depin this and then repin on a new connector that's gonna work. Because we are using a GM IAT sensor that just threads into the bottom of the manifold here. So in order to put the correct connector on there, we just gotta go through, depin it. So I'm gonna depin it, repin it to the new connector here, and then that should be all set up. And then the only plugs we have left off of our mil-spec harness here are IAT, throttle position, and what was the last one? Idle air control valve. It's weird, there's nothing here for a map sensor. Do these cars not need a map sensor? It's kind of weird. There's nothing on the harness for a map sensor. So I'm assuming it doesn't need a map sensor. I'm not entirely sure. The Haltech has an onboard sensor, but I don't know if I need to use that one. If so, I just need to run a vacuum line up into the engine bay. I go to a boost source. I'll probably just go off the manifold, but it's just weird. There's no connector for a map sensor. Houston, we have run into a problem. So I got the IAT sensor rewired up. I made a couple mistakes, so it took me a couple attempts, but we got it. I seem to have run into a problem. The Greddy compression tube no longer fits, and we are now running into an issue where the entire compression tube here hits this guy. So what I think we might have to do is cut this and then weld onto that to bring this out a little bit, which is not something I'm going to be able to do. I think I'm going to have Dustin do that because as you guys can see, as I go to push this on, it just pushes that whole thing in. Now Dustin is doing the exhaust for this car this Friday. So what I think we're going to end up having to do is actually cut this here. And then, well, that's the hard part, is because it's like flange. So it's like we're going to have to cut it here. And then somehow, I don't know, he's the fabricator. I'll ask him to do it. Everything else should be pretty solid. At this point, all we have left to do to get this thing running is fix the compression tube, do the exhaust, which we already have the downpipe done, but what we need to do is transition the downpipe from 3.5 inch down to 3 inch, put a V-band on that, and then just make an intermediate pipe, which shouldn't be too bad. Fitting for the Chase Bay's AST delete, just block that off, run the coolant overflow line to the not the expansion tank, the overflow, power steering, and then I think at that point we are good to put a base map on this thing and try to start it. It looks really good. I'm really happy with how the way the engine bay came out. But that's all I got for you guys on this one. I think in the next video actually it will be the next video. I think in the next video we're gonna do either the exhaust for the RX7 or we're gonna jump over to the taillights because I have that Illumisthetic taillight kit in here. So we'll take apart the stock FD taillights, build some circuit boards for the Illumisthetic ones and get those all wired up. But I'm sorry this video has been a little bit all over the place. It's just, when it comes to the RX7, like I said, I don't know what I'm doing with this car. It's my first time putting one of these together, so I'm figuring a lot of things out, but I'm extremely happy with how that engine bay is coming. We got one fuel line left. Like, it's just a handful of little stuff now, and then it should be brapping away, which I am excited for. This is my first Rotary. I'm nervous about that engine because it's obviously the first time I've built a 13B or just a rotary engine in general, so I don't know how it's going to go. So, you know, it's a learning experience. We got to figure out why the headlights are doing the pop up and down headlight thing over and over and over again, but I feel like it shouldn't be too bad. So let me get the shop cleaned up a little bit because I got shit just scattered everywhere. and we'll get the STI pushed back in, and then I think at that point we should be able to jet out. So that's all I got for you guys in this one. If you liked the video, you know what to do. Go ahead, hit that like button, turn it black, blue, green, yellow, purple, silver, cyan, whatever color it turns for you. And if you're not subscribed already and you want to be, I'll put it in one of these corners. No idea which one quite yet, but with that, I'll catch you guys in the next one. So peace out, homies.